Hi guys, it's Amber from Amber Eats Books. I'm here today to do my weekly reads video. This is the video where I tell you what I read last week, what I'm currently reading, and what I hope to read for the coming week. This past week was another busy week. I really thought having 5 days off of work was gonna be great. I was gonna get a ton of reading done. I was going to relax a lot, and none of those things really happened. I did get more reading done than I have the previous 2 weeks, but I still didn't get as much done as I had hoped to get done, but that's okay. Life just gets in the way. You know, I had to prep for Thanksgiving dinner and cook it, and I took down my fall decorations. I put up my Christmas decorations. We went shopping. There was just a ton of stuff that went into my 5 days off. Today is Sunday. It's my last day off. I have already done laundry. You know, I'm making a grocery list. I am filming all my videos for the week, so Sunday is packed too, but that's okay. I got everything done that I wanted to get done as far as, you know, things around the house, so I'm actually really happy with how my week went. But anyway, let's get into these books. The first book of the week was Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys. This is the story of a girl named Josie. Her mother is a prostitute, and this girl is just trying to make it on her own and to make something more of herself than what the situations around her are kind of trying to make her out to be. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. The characters were great. The main character was a very strong girl, and I just thought it was just so much fun. It was so much fun to like kind of get out of, you know, stuff that has been going on in my own life and to dive into this time period and to this story. I will say, not my favorite book by the author. I absolutely adored Salt to the Sea. I really loved Between Shades of Grey. This one is just a notch down from those. The story was a little too predictable for me. That was the only negative of it. I mean, I still really loved it, and I still would recommend it to other people. It was just predictable, so I wasn't as emotionally attached or surprised by any of the plot twists. So yeah, it just didn't score as high, but again, really loved it. The writing, as always, is just wonderful. That's what really drives the story for me. It's just easy, it flows, you could just sink right into it, and the setting was really fun. It was New Orleans. That was just a blast. It was just a different vibe than the other 2 books that I've read by her, and it was just great to kind of branch out and to try something new. The first line in this book is, "My mother's a prostitute." The next book that I read, I've heard so much about on Booktube and from fellow book lovers that I had to pick it up. It's not something I normally would pick up, but I'd heard too many good things to just pass it by. And that is You by Caroline Kepnes. This is the story of a guy named Joe, and he is stalking a girl. So this whole story is from his perspective, the stalker's perspective, and it was just very, very interesting. I rated it 3.75 on Goodreads, but I think I'm gonna bump it up to a 4 now that I've had a few days to reflect on it. It has just kind of stuck with me and stayed with me more than I thought that it would, so I just want to reflect that in my actual rating. The writing was great. It wasn't overly beautiful or flowery or anything. It was very, sometimes even crass and jarring, but it was fascinating. I couldn't put the book down. I started it, and at first I was like, I don't know. It's not really my thing. I mean, I'm not really into these types of books. I don't like the way that the character's speaking sometimes. He's very brash. But the more I read it, I just was like, all right, I guess I'm hooked because I can't seem to put it down. It's like almost watching like a car wreck, but like you don't want to, I mean, you want to look away, but you can't, sort of thing. That's how I felt when reading this book. So it was very fascinating. I will say, I know there's a sequel to this, but I really don't have a desire to read it. I think this is a great standalone book, and I've heard a lot of people say that the sequel wasn't quite as good as this, so I don't know if I will read it. I say right now I don't have a plan to, but if I come across it, you know, maybe at like a library sale or something where I don't have to pay full price or order it from another library, I might pick it up. But yeah, very, very fascinating. I will say there's definite trigger warnings for, you know, rape, sexual abuse, those kinds of things. Not my favorite subject to read about, and I think that's part of the reason why I had a little bit of a hard time wrapping my head around why I was still reading the story. and there's some quite very descriptive, like erotic scenes that if those are not your thing, definitely don't read this book. They don't bother me so much as far as those types of scenes, more like the abuse scenes bother me a lot more. So, but I was able to read it, I was able to get through it, I was able to see the merit in the story, just kind of diving into this person's mind. And sometimes you find yourself agreeing with the stalker, Joe. You find yourself agreeing with what he's saying and his observations about life, and you don't want to be agreeing, and then you are, or you're laughing at something that he's saying, and just very, very fascinating. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars. If it sounds like something that you might be interested, I definitely recommend picking it up, because it is just one of those books that you can't put down once you start it. Let me see what the opening line of this book was. You walk into the bookstore and you keep your hand on the door to make sure it doesn't slam. The last book that I finished this week was actually for an online book club here on Booktube that I joined, and it is called #on the Booktube Shelf, and it is hosted by Jen from Reading with Pugs, Elisa from Paperbits, Alanna from Alanna Reads, and Krystine from Kizzie Reads. And they had picked Dead Mountain, the untold true story of the Dyatlov Pass incident by Donnie Ecker, for their pick for November. This is a nonfiction book. We've been kind of reading it in parts, each of them posting a wrap-up as we went. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that format. And this book was fascinating. Oh my God, this was the best nonfiction book that I've read throughout November. A lot of my other nonfiction books just kind of fell flat for me. I really just did not get into them. But this one, I almost didn't want to put it down. I mean, the whole time, you know, you're reading your section, you're going through this story, and you're kind of like, what happened? What happened? What happened? It's just so fascinating. This is the true story about 9 hikers who were hiking up Dead Mountain, as they referred to it, in 1959, and they went missing. They never returned from their hike. They sent searchers to go out, or rescuers to go out and find them, and they ended up finding their bodies just scattered all over the place, half dressed, just very weird things that went on surrounding this hiking experience. And as you're going along, you're following this journey, you just want to know what happened so bad. And I love the format. It kind of jumped back and forth between the author's, you know, journey as he's researching this and, you know, traveling to Russia, and he goes and he hikes up Dead Mountain to kind of see where they were and his experience with that. And then it kind of flashes back to 1959 when what the hikers' experience probably was, how it kind of played out. And it was just so fascinating. And I was afraid the ending wasn't going to give me like that satisfying feeling when I was done with it, but it really did. And I highly recommend this to anyone who wants a great nonfiction read. It's not very large. I could have probably finished this in a few days, but I was going along with the book club, so, you know, only read a section per week. It was just so good. I loved the pictures in it. There was, you know, pictures sprinkled throughout, so it kind of, you know, just gave you a feeling of you knew who these people were. The first line in this book was, 2 figures trudge across a snowy expanse. So those were the 3 books that I was able to finish this week. I really loved that I had such a good reading week as far as the types of stories that I read. They were just fascinating, they were all encompassing, and I just, you know, loved sinking right into them. As well as reading those, I also was still working on my 11/22/63 with Krystol from Krystol the Bookworm. We are now up to page 491, which is chapter 19. Hopefully we'll be getting this done within the next, you know, couple of weeks. It just, we just didn't want to like try and cram it all into a few weeks, because it is a very large book and the story can, you know, be a little boring at times, though now it's really starting to pick up, so it's a lot easier to get through some of these chapters. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's the second time around reading it, and I will give you my full thoughts when we actually finish. And then the other book that I'm actually currently reading still, I started last night, and that was Chasing Lincoln's Killer by James L. Swanson. This is a non-fiction middle grade book, and my son had to read this for summer reading, not this past summer, but the summer before, and he really loved it. He kept it, and then when he heard about Nonfiction November, he really wanted me to read it. So I'm reading it. Hopefully I will finish it today. I'm already halfway through it. It's not very large at all. And him and I are going to make a little wrap-up video about what we liked about it and what we didn't like. So look forward to that in the next week or so. Now, as far as the books that I want to get to for the rest of the week, Nonfiction November is just about over. I'm not going to get to these other 3 nonfiction books. Just not going to happen. I'm going to put them back into I'm going to write them back down on a Post-it and put them back into my TBR jar and hopefully pick them out again at a later point. I'm going to try from here on out to read at least 1 nonfiction book a month. I really fell behind, and I feel like reading at least 1 nonfiction would really enhance my reading repertoire. So I definitely want to continue, and I do still want to read these. I really do. But now we're moving into December. I have some other books that I want to get to, so these are just going to have to go back into my TBR jar. Now, as far as the books that I want to get to for the rest of the week, I've already showed you most of them. I have 3 library books, and I'd like to just get them done so then I can concentrate on other books for December. So I have Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, With Malice by Eileen Cook, and The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This one I was able to renew 1 more time, so I have this next week to try and get all these books done. I really, really want to get to them. They all sound incredible, so definitely on my list. Another book that I want to read this week is one that I just got in the mail. So this is a tiny little 1 book haul, and that is Charlie the Choo Choo by Burl Evans. Really, it's by Stephen King. This is like a book that was inspired by something that he wrote about in the Dark Tower series. Once I heard it was part of the Dark Tower, obviously I had to buy it and get it. I have not read it. It's just been sitting on my shelf for a day or 2, so I definitely want to read it this week and just see what it's all about. It will really enhance my reread of the rest of the Dark Tower series that I hope to get to here, in 2016. Not 2016, 2017. I'd really like to get to them in 2017 because I read the first 4 here in 2016. I really wanted to finish them by the end of the year, but we all know how that goes. Things just did not work out. So in 2017, I hope to read the other 4 books in the series. But yeah, I just thought I would show it to you. I'll show you a couple of the illustrations. They look so cool. So it'll be really fun. I don't know what to really expect from it because he's never written a children's book before, so it'll be fun to see how that goes. So those were all the books that I read this week, that I'm currently reading, and that I hope to get to for the rest of the week. I just hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the week. I am so glad that I am able to get back to filming some videos. I have a few more planned out. You might even see me in the same outfit because I'm just gonna go ahead and film them all today, the ones that I actually have set up to film. And I'm just happy to kind of be back to my regular schedule, back to my regular, routines, trying to, get everything in. I'm so excited too to be heading into the Christmas season. As you can see, I have a whole bunch of snowmen here on my shelf. I might do a video just showing you a couple of my snowmen. I don't know. That was just like one that was kicking around my head. So if that's something you'd like to see, let me know down in the comments below. I have quite a good little collection of snowmen, and if anyone else is really into them or would want to see them, let me know. If I get enough response, I will probably make that video next week. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and happy reading.